No BS, no overhyping, no performative negativity. This is just going to be my completely honest opinion on inZOI after playing it for about 15 days. First, happy time zone. I hope you're having a great one. My name is Ivory, and I enjoy life simulation games, cozy games. And if that is something that you're into, consider, making yourself comfortable here. So today I wanted to take the time to talk about my experience with playtesting inZOI prior to the early access release. And before I talk about anything, I do want to say a special thank you to the team at Crafton and inZOI. I am very honest and transparent with myself, though people disagree with me. My friends probably don't like when I say stuff like this, but I know I'm a small creator, I'm a micro creator. I feel like there's nothing wrong with being honest about that. I don't pull huge numbers. I do this because I love it. I'm passionate about it. I like making videos about my favorite games and telling stories. I've been doing it for years. However, with that being said, it's not often that you get to not only have these type of opportunities when you have a platform like mine, but you're treated with kindness and fairness. I think that the person they chose to work with the creators over where I'm at in the States, I guess like a lot of English speaking countries, Riley, amazing. And I feel like the team made it very clear that what we all think matters. Nobody was treated differently, everyone was the same. I am really just happy to, be a part of that. And it felt great. It felt great to be seen and to be treated like a member, like, a member of the team, a part of the family versus a number on a roster. So I want to stress that the team at inZOI treated us all very kindly, very gracious, even accommodating people's different time zones and, to the translators too, like working overtime. Like, you guys are amazing. I think that the foundation they're building for their community, not only like people playing the game, but their content creators. It was a beautiful experience, and I'm really glad that I got to be a part of that. So, with that being said, I want to get into my thoughts on inZOI. I feel like that there's a lot of talk about the game right now, and the talk isn't cheap. And I'm even not sure if it is what it is at this point. So I want to give some disclaimers before I give my opinion on inZOI. So I know it's been a lot of like, I didn't realize that, people that love life simulation games, you guys are treating us like a stand war. Like, this is a game. We're not here talking about who outsold your fave. It is okay to have more than one game in a genre. You guys don't blink when there's more than one gotcha game. You love variety in battle royales, shooting games, story games. So I don't know what it is about life simulation games that have you all cracked out over the fact that there's a new game in the genre. But I think that a lot of the standards that are being put on inZOI, a game that is early access, keyword early, other keyword access. You are accessing a game that is not a fully polished final product. This is a game that is still in development. And I think that you guys have to be mindful when you consume content from people and take it as absolute truth. Because sometimes, you have to remember some people do have platforms that are curated around uh, getting the bag on hyper focusing on negativity. That's their thing. They find something, they just derail it, and they get their AdSense check. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should give that a try. I don't really know. But so I know I've been on TikTok, I've been on YouTube and etc. I've seen articles, and a lot of them are from people that haven't even played the game, or maybe you're playing life simulation games and it's not your usual type of game that you play. You're just testing it out. You're not passionate about the drama, so it just feels to you. So I think that you just have to consider where the information is coming from. I'm not saying that as someone who is a member of the Crafting Creator Network. I'm just being real. Like, you just gotta take into consideration the person giving you this, the details on the game. Are all of their videos just negative critiques? Like, do they just really take the time to stomp out games and just hyper focus on everything bad, okay. So, just consider that. And again, I don't have a script today, so if I sound jumbled, I do have bullet points, but I don't have a script because this is not about me telling a story. This is not about me being in character right now because oftentimes I am in character telling stories on this channel. I'm just being 100% real with you guys today. So if my thoughts do seem a bit jumbled, that's why. But yeah, so just be mindful of your sources of information. I also need to give a disclaimer that although I am happy to be a part of crafting, that does not dictate my opinion on this game. This is just how I feel for my experience, and they are giving us the space to be honest on our feedback. So I'm gonna take full advantage of that. I don't know about y'all, but you tell me to speak my mind, I'm going to do it. Thank you, Cajun. You're a real one. Also, this is not going to be a comparison and contrast of, I'm gonna just say it because I'm also a part of the EA Creator Network. So I really don't have any room to like be loyal to something. I'm a part of the EA Creator Network, I'm a part of the Crafting Creator Network. I'm not here to compare and contrast the games. I'm not here to make a Venn diagram about games. inZOI and The Sims 4 and the rest of the franchise can both exist at the same time. Shocker, who knew? But it is okay to have another life simulation game. And I think that, just comparing the two or making it seem like inZOI only exists as a comparison to The Sims 4, it can be its own thing within this genre and do well. Like it doesn't have to exist in constant comparison to another game just because that game has been out. And I feel like this whole inZOI experience and the press around it has really taught me that there's not a lot of difference between people that are diehard life simulation gamers and stands on Twitter. Like you guys are giving stan behavior. Like we're not here to talk about who outsold your faves or whose album flopped. Like it's a game. Either you play it and you like it or you don't. And I think a lot of people that are very hypercritical of inZOI, and some of them haven't even played the game. So just, I mean, hey, people are going to say what they want to say. My dog just sneezed behind me. But anyway, yeah, so now that I gave those disclaimers, let's just move on to my honest opinion on this game. So when I initially got my little grubby hands on inZOI, I was over the moon. I was super excited. And I didn't really know what to anticipate. I did see some gameplay from the prior test, but I was like, it's different now. I've noticed all of the changes that they made, and those changes have been very impactful. But I am also, and I've been very transparent about this since I've been, talking about the news with inZOI, my prior videos, if you've seen them. I do not have the latest and greatest PC build. I play a lot of cozy games. When I first built this PC, it was good. It's a 2060 Super. It had its run, but I don't really play the games that I used to play. And also, I want to stress that just because somebody doesn't play, you know, FPS shooters, battle royales, that doesn't imply that they're not a gamer. If you are playing a game, you are a gamer. However, the games that I play typically don't require beefy specs on a PC. And inZOI is a game that I would typically play. It's a life simulation game. However, I really didn't anticipate to, be at the minimum requirements and not enjoy my experience at first on my 2060 Super. So I would say that my first very transparent opinion with inZOI is that although you can play and access this game at the minimum requirements, if you're let me stress this, if you're trying to create content around inZOI, I did not enjoy my experience with the minimum requirements. I think that this game definitely needs further optimization so that people with different PC specs can enjoy it. And it wasn't like I was trying to push my PC to play this at like super high ultra resolution because I use my brain. I don't know about y'all, but I use my brain, so I wasn't going to beef up my graphics just to play. No, like I know where I'm at in life with my 2060 Super. But even at like low or minimum or whatever, and turning off ray tracing, and it was just not the experience that I would have wanted, especially as a content creator. And a lot of the videos that I recorded and planned to play, I ended up deleting them because I got frustrated. I was seeing the things that, some of my peers were sharing in the community Discord, and I was just like, that's how my game should look. Like my stuff should look like that. I don't want to share this content because it's not going to be visually appealing. So I kind of had like, a solo meltdown here. I really didn't have anyone to vent to about it because I was under an NDA and I was under an embargo. But I was a little upset because I felt like graphically I just could not put out what I would want to. And I knew that I was at the minimum requirements. I was aware that, my game wasn't going to look the same as somebody with a 4070 Ti. Like I knew that. I use my brain, I utilize every wrinkle. But I just didn't expect for it to be like that. And then when it came time to stream, when the embargo lifted, I had a stream and I was trying to play with the city dirty. And my PC at first, when I first loaded all of those textures, like it was bad, and if you were in that stream, if you know, you know, but at first it was not a good experience, and I found it hard to stream and play inZOI because inZOI was taking up so much of my resources. So I, again, think that if you are at the minimum requirements and if you're trying to just play the game to enjoy, you really don't care about the super fancy graphics and you're very transparent with yourself the way I am with your PC, like I know this ain't about to be great, but I'm just gonna have fun. Cool. However, I wanted to be able to tell stories and share my gameplay that would match, the rest of the aesthetic that I keep on this channel. So I eventually got into cloud gaming. I got 𝒁𝒂𝓂𝒃. I have the more expensive version of 𝒁𝒂𝒃 for gamers, and I'm happy with it. I don't have a problem. 𝒁𝒂𝒃 is a little bit buggy. She do be crashing, but other than that, I have been much more satisfied with, the inZOI content that I've been able to share with you guys. And I do this as a passion. Like I've been creating content for a very long time and I do it because I love it. Um, I don't release it with any expectations, I know my platform, I know my community, and I just make it because I like it and because you guys enjoy it. And I just didn't want to put something out there that I wouldn't be satisfied with. So I know in my earlier videos I said, oh, I have so many videos planned. And the reason why you didn't see them is because I was very upset visually with how they looked. So I do want to stress, if you're a content creator, like me, you're a hobbyist, you make videos for fun and you do meet the minimum requirements. Don't expect to have the grand, graphic experience that inZOI is promising on the minimum requirements, because although the game would look nice, it's just not optimized the way that it needs to be right now. I know optimization is coming, but I just want it to be completely transparent for those of you that are playing this game. And if you've been in any of my streams lately on my live channel, my Gameplay Diary Live, you already know I've been playing with 𝒁𝒂𝒃. And it looks good, it looks good because I'm not using my PC, I'm using my virtual PC. So I'm following my bullet points here. So that's how I initially felt in terms of the optimization of the game. It uses so much RAM and I just don't have that RAM. My RAM is on bended knee. My RAM is ready to go to retirement. So it's helpful that you can play this on 𝒁𝒂𝒃. I believe it should be on GeForce. I don't really know. Let me not lie to y'all. I don't know if it's going to be on GeForce, but I don't know. I have to be honest about that because the minimum requirements, like I think they need to up it. I feel like they just need to stick to making the requirements a 300 series because you can't even enjoy the Smart ZOI without that. So that's something that they should reconsider before the full game, unless they're going to continue to optimize it. But I think that the PC requirements are just a bit, yeah, they just need to up it. Anyway, moving on to my next point. So switching to 𝒁𝒂𝒃. So when I switched to 𝒁𝒂𝒃 and I started playing the game, I started to really enjoy the gameplay aspect because before I was just in my feelings that my game looked uh unappealing to me. So I would just get in, I'd be like, whatever. But when I got ShadowTech, I started feeling so much different about the game. Not only is the game beautiful, but the smart ZOI portion of the game is such a nice touch. It adds to the overall story that you're trying to tell for your game, if you're a storyteller like I am. And I think you guys even noticed the difference too when I was streaming. Like, ever since I did the cloud gaming with inZOI, I've been having a good time. And I feel like a lot of people are saying that the game feels lifeless, the game feels empty. Well, the game isn't done. However, I think that the only thing that feels lifeless to me is the fact that the game really focuses on an individual life experience. You know, you can have relationships, you can have children, you can get pregnant, you can go to work, but the game just feels like we are taking a peek into one's uh perspective, which kind of makes sense, but I think that what is missing is the ability to do things together. You know, let's have a meal together. Let me cook for you. Let me offer you food. Um, Planning dates. You know, the game automatically sets your dates to be like 2 hours ahead of time. You can't plan and pick which day you want the date to be on. Uh, yeah, which which isn't, yeah, I really didn't like that aspect because maybe your Zoe is like hungry or starving or whatnot. You just have to go to that date as is. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that the game feels lifeless. I think the game has a lot of life to it, but what it's missing is a sense of community, if that makes sense. So once they integrate multitasking, it's on their roadmap. Once they integrate that and find more group activities for Zoids to do, I think that it's going to add new life to the game and people might feel differently. However, I'm not really big on family gameplay. I'm very much F those kids, like who raising them? The game. They get taken away. Okay. Like my gameplay is set to be centered around independent living. I really don't do a lot of family gameplay, but I've been trying and enjoy, my game, my Let's Play with Billy and my Zoe self. I'm trying family and I'm trying marriage and I'm actually enjoying it. So for someone that literally my my characters in life simulations, them girls don't be tied down. They don't give a damn about them kids. They keep it moving. So for me to completely change my style of gameplay and say, you know what? Let's start a family. Let's have a baby. That speaks volumes because that is not me. But I think that the progression of it in Zoe is really nice. And the fact that you can't just spam. You can't do romance, friendly, romance, friendly, romance, give a gift, friendly, and get married. Like if you press these Zoids too much to get to know them and get to unlock things too quickly, they do have a negative perception of that. So I think that if you're playing through the game and going through the right steps and approaching it as if, Enzo is a completely fresh take on life simulation games and not trying to play it. I'm just going to say it. If you're trying to play inZOI like The Sims 4, you're not going to have you're not going to be satisfied because inZOI is inZOI. It's not The Sims 4. So I think that a lot of people that feel like, oh, the game feels lifeless. Oh, the game feels like this. They're trying to force inZOI to be a extension of The Sims 4 instead of just going into the game with an open mind and playing it as inZOI. Like, let inZOI be inZOI. It does not have to be the dupe for The Sims 4 for you. If you're looking for a replacement, I'm sorry, but you're going to be purchasing inZOI. You're not buying The Sims 4. So if you want the game to play like The Sims 4, baby, go to the Origin EA app, whatever it's called now. Pull that up because this is not that game. I think that if you just go into it, not trying to force it to be, just like The Sims and force those type of interactions, cool. And if you explore the game with an open mind and just follow just follow through and enjoy and sit back, I think you would not find it too lifeless. I really don't have any critiques outside of the lack of group activity about the lifelessness of the game. I think the game's pretty vibrant. Zoids are full of personality, especially when they have smart Zoi. And I think the addition of karma is wonderful. It's okay to be bad, but my Zoi went to jail the other day and she was doing big time for stealing an ATM. And it was very humbling for me, someone that does like a little bit of chaos in their gameplay, to know that yes, it's fun to be bad, it's fun to be bad, but you can't just be bad all the time. Like you cannot just spam through stealing and robbing and expect not to have consequences, because she was in jail for a long time. We did find a way to break out, but it's very balanced gameplay. So if you're used to a different type, unbalanced, being able to do whatever, just keep in mind, that there is a system of balance. There's checks and balances. There's the karma system that just really keeps the Zoids grounded and kind of gives them a purpose. I like that feature. So for my opinion on if the game is lifeless, I disagree with that to an extent. Now, let's talk about some things with the camera. I do like the inZOI camera. And again, I'm just giving you my perspective as a content creator right now. The camera for me sometimes does feel a little bit janky. I think that it could be fine-tuned. I would like to be able to slow my camera down so I could get smoother shots. If anybody knows how, please, let me know in the comments. I would love to be able to slow down my camera. I'm the type of person, I do like aesthetic shots. I like being able to pan my camera left, pan it right, up, down, left, right, side to side. Oh, this is why I have a script. Anyway, yeah, so I think that sometimes the camera does feel a bit unbalanced. I don't know, like it will move around, but if you get to a certain point, it's kind of hard to pivot the camera and look. And I think that the free cam mode, the camera just moves a bit too fast for me. Other than that, I think that the photo mode, if you switch from the studio to photo mode, there's something that happens where it's not of the same quality. Like the lighting changes, like there's something different when you switch into photo mode. So I learned that I prefer to take screenshots outside of photo mode, because I can't change the resolution of the photo. I can't up the quality. So if you're experiencing that, just, take a screenshot of your Zoe outside of the studio photo. I think you might like that better. While we're on the topic of cameras, I think the theme studio, I'm starting to look at it in a different way. Right now, there's really not a way to edit a lot of the public lots, and you don't really have the ability to place lots that you would want. So I had this big brain idea. I was like, oh, I was like, I could use a theme studio in place of, a gym lot, a spa lot, a beauty salon. I can build all these things with the theme studio. However, I noticed on stream last night that there's certain things that you cannot interact with at the theme studio. So I'm hoping that when they're, building out and fleshing out theme studio, they consider that that space could be used as a community lot if you're storytelling and you want your Zoe to go to a laundromat and actually wash their clothes, go to a gym and have Zoes be able to interact with those objects. I think that'd be great. Because maybe I do think something is lifeless. I think that this theme studio could use a bit of a revamp. I would like for the mannequin Zoids to be able to interact with other objects. So we'll see about that. Now, I want to move on to how I feel about the UI, the highlights, the icons. I feel like the UI is so clean. I love that everything is draggable. You can drop it and you can keep your viewpoint very open if you want to. And I like that you can even hide the UI without having to, have any modifications to the game. It's just a native feature. So I think that That's a good touch. I will say that some of the UI widgets, the HUDs on there, should be collapsible, like the one that has your picture with the phone and bag. I think that's something that should be able to be collapsed. And the emotions as well. I think we should be able to collapse those emotions. That would be more visually appealing, especially if you're like streaming inZOI. Because I was watching my stream back and I was like, oh, I wish I could collapse it because as a player the UI looks good, but I think if someone's watching a stream, all of those different visual components expanded might be a little bit distracting. So hopefully that's something that they consider. Now I do think though that other graphic embellishments, what's the word I'm looking for? Effects, yeah, effects. Wow, I have zero brain energy right now. But a lot of the effects in the game, like the character highlight, I feel like it's a bit unnecessary. Especially like the overhead icon, it just looks awkward, respectfully, especially if you have a game where the goal is to have a realistic look and feel. Having everything be highlighted is just distracting. You know, like I'm playing in Zoe because I want to play a life simulation game with realism. I don't want to see my character highlighted. I know who I'm selecting. I use all the wrinkles in my brain, you know? So I think that if they consider turning a lot of those visual aspects off, like we don't need to see a character highlight. We don't really need to have the sparks and hearts and things like that. I think maybe if they make those UI HUDs. So like instead of the love hearts sparking from your Zoe, you know, how when they fall in love, they get hearts coming out of their cheeks. I don't know. But I think maybe that could be a UI element. Maybe we can get some hearts in the corner. So that way, if we're trying to create a machinima, we could easily just turn that off with the UI. And I think the overhead icon is also kind of awkward in such a hyper realistic life simulation game. Uh, I feel like it's not necessary because we can see their mood and emotions on the HUD. So I hope that they just continue to tweak those aspects. If they want to make the look of the game feel very cohesive. I just think all of those extra highlights and the overhead icon, it kind of doesn't match the aesthetic of the game at all. But that's feedback that I already gave. So I think I touched on this. I'm looking at my bullet points. The need for more group interactions. Like I want to be able to not only have a meal with, you know, my Zoi's friends and clean together or do a work project together. But I also think that having community lots where we can do things together, like a gym or a nightclub. Why aren't there any like nightclubs? Like, this is a life simulation game. Like, we should be able to go out and party and have fun. Like, I understand that they want this game to be appealing to a vast age group, but there could at least be like a dance club or some type of nightlife. I think that it's kind of it just feels like it's missing, you know, especially if you have these adult life stages, young adults, things like that. They should be able to go and party, go and dance a little bit. Um, it's I don't know. Like I still don't understand their how they want that to be approached in the game. Like I know they want it to be a rating that is accessible to people of a younger age group, but then you also have wine racks in the game and Zoys that come over with bottles of wine. So it's like if we could have that, why can't my Zoe have a drink at the end of the day? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to like straight up imply that it's wine, but have a drink after a long day or something like that. Now, you know, when I say I want nightlife, I'm not expecting for Cajun and the team to go full brat mode and, you know, allow us to have our Zoids enter a blizzard until their nose is like shivering from the cold. I don't think that should happen, but I do think that, you know, there should be uh clubs that our Zoids can go to and other activities like roller rink or maybe I know pools are being worked on, but maybe they want to go bowling, maybe they want to go to a movie theater. Cuz I think that there's more to do besides going to cafes. So yeah, hopefully they consider that, and hopefully I make sense to you guys because I don't have a script. So I'm not really confident if my concept of thought right now is making sense. But hopefully you guys, the girls that get it right now. If you don't get it, then it's because I have ADHD and you don't. So I want to talk about the bugs in the game. So let me take a sip of my water. Where's my Stanley? And my viewpoint on bugs is that if you are playing a early access, I'm about to talk to y'all like y'all mom be talking to you. If you're playing an early access game and the game is not done and you are testing the game to identify bugs, why would you assume there's no bugs in the game? If Johnny had 5 apples and I take away 2, how many are left? You know what I mean? Like, brains. You were gifted with it. Utilize it. So the bugs really didn't bother me. I mean, some of them were funny, like the babies with beards. Some of them were frustrating, like being locked up in jail for a very long time. But I think that the team is very quick to call out these bugs and identify them and give feedback. So I'm not really, I don't know. I really don't have too much to say about the bugs. I think the biggest bug I experienced was the jail bug. We were stuck in there. And if it wasn't for Shallon, my girl Shallon, we would have been stuck in there for a very long time. So I think that in terms of bugs, I mean, they're going to fix them. They're going to have bugs. The bugs really didn't bother me. They weren't disruptive. And I think that the type of bugs that they have in this early access, if they continue to work on them, the full build of the game is going to be flawless because the bugs aren't too bad. I will say that in terms of building, there is an issue where if you have walls that are of a different height, like if you have a shorter wall connecting to a taller wall, there's going to be a gap. That is visually unappealing. So I'm sure that's something that they'll work on. But just little things like that are typical in early access. I think that if anybody expects this game to have 0 bugs while it's still early in its development stage, I don't really know what to tell you. Like if you do experience bugs, report them in the Discord so the team can improve them. Because again, this isn't a full game. This game is a work in progress. That's the whole concept of early access releases. So I feel like the bugs that I have experienced, I was able to provide feedback and they heard me out. And I'm looking forward to, seeing those reviewed and changed. I think, though, I must mention that one of the biggest bugs to me right now is the fact that all of the townies are heterosexual. I have a Zoe that I took from the canvas. I made her anyway. So I have a Zoe that I build with an early demo, and I didn't realize that she was set to man, and her attraction was set to male, female, non-binary. But I didn't realize that her gender was set to man, and I found that she was unable to flirt with any men because the game was having her identity be man, and when she would flirt with men, they would not be interested in her, meaning that all of the townies are straight. So I think that's something that they need to tweak as soon as possible. I really am not a fan of that at all. I think they really should have all of the NPCs be attracted, they're attracting this open, because that's not a realistic experience. I don't think anybody's going to go out in the world and everyone that they meet is going to be straight. That doesn't happen anywhere. Yeah, I think that if they are prioritizing anything, changing it to where the NPCs aren't all straight should be at the top of their list. So I have on my bullet points here maturity rating. I think the maturity rating of the game, at first I was very concerned about if the game would be too childlike, like too kiddie. Um, I don't think that it is, but I do have some critiques. Like I said with the wine, like there's wine racks and bottles of wine, but I've tried to get my Zoe to have a bottle of wine, they couldn't. But I was watching a clip of somebody and someone came to their door with a wine bottle. So it's like if you're gonna have these things in the game, why not be able to partake in them? The NPCs could do it, why can't I? Also, the Set the Mood, I think that they should revise the name of Set the Mood. I think it should be something like fun and whimsical, like Zoink was right there. Zoink, like missed opportunity. I think setting the mood. I don't know. For some reason, I think that the topic of sexuality in inZOI is a topic that they seem pretty shy about. And I'm not saying that the game has to be like hypersexual, because I don't even know if I would want to play it if it was like that. But I think that the topic of, reproduction is handled in a very immature way, like the big giant heart that is on the screen when your Zoids set the mood. It is so distracting, especially if you have other Zoids in the household that you send to set the mood, because the screen blackens, there's a big giant heart, and it just feels visually unappealing. I think there's other ways that they can do it to where it it doesn't seem too graphic, but I think their approach to it, they're overcompensating for trying to make sure that the game doesn't come off hypersexual. And I think that, you could just blur the bed, or maybe you can, I don't know, I'm trying to think what else they could do. They could add a blur. Maybe they could just do a little bit of hearts, but that large heart on the screen is so distracting. And I was actually concerned when I first set the mood, because everything just got super dark. So I think that they should refine that. There's other ways to approach it without it feeling cartoony, in a bad way. Like, I don't know. So I feel like as far as the rest of the game goes for maturity, it's fine. You can fight, you can go to jail, you can be bad, you can steal, you can do all of these things, but I think that the whole romance portion does feel too watered down for the rating of the game. So I know people, I don't know, I feel like some people in the community do want this game to have a more hypersexual appeal to it. And I feel like that is not the goal of inZOI. And if you want it to be freak nasty, wait for modders. They just, yeah, I don't think the team has any intention of you guys being freaky. So leave that to mods, because yeah, no, I don't want to see inZOI having Rule 34 native to the game. But there are a lot of spaces where they can improve upon. And I think just getting rid of that distracting large heart is one of them. Now, I hope that you guys just really enjoy my feedback. Another thing that I don't like is the pregnancy. I think the pregnancy needs to be segmented into different trimesters, and hopefully they can do it to where it's in tune with the seasons. Maybe you're pregnant for 2 seasons out of the game, two, maybe three seasons. You're pregnant for a season, because the pregnancy portion just feels like it goes by so quickly. And I am currently trying to really dive into the whole family gameplay. I've been doing a family storyline with my Second Life avatar, and I'm like, I kind of want to do one with my, I'm clanking my cup. I kind of want to do one with my inZOI self. But I just feel like the pregnancy did feel like it was lacking something. You get pregnant and immediately you have this baby bump. You don't really get too many pop-ups. There are pregnancy interactions, so you can have people feel your baby bump. You can talk about your concerns about baby products, but I would like for them to step it up a notch in terms of pregnancy and maternity. Maybe your Zoe has a doctor appointment to go to. Maybe the hospital is open and you can do that. Um, I think that just, it feels too immature to have them immediately get the baby bump. I think that there should be a progression for that. Yeah, I don't have any further thoughts on the maternity aspect. I just want to see it be done in phases, and I want it to match the time of the game. So I feel like time in the game too is just something that has to be worked on. The sleep, like your Zoe has to sleep for a very long time. One of my Zoes literally slept the entire day. They went to bed at like 3 a.m. and they woke up at like 10 p.m., which was very excessive. But I think when you change the time settings on your game, like if you switch from 48 to 96 minutes, it just kind of affects the stat. So I don't want to end this I don't want to end on a negative note. So I want to talk about everything that I want to change if I could. Like if I were to go to headquarters and learn how to become a developer and start working on this game, there are some things that I would like to change. So I think when your Zoe, like their bedtime routine, and when they change their clothes, it's a bit abrupt. So I had my Zoe. She went to turn on the lights because she was in bed and the lights were on. So I sent her to turn the light off. She got out of bed, changed into her everyday wear. Then I'm like, okay, let's go back to bed. So then she went from the light, she walked all the way over to the dresser, changed back into her pajamas, and went to bed. So I think that maybe if there is a cooldown timer, and I can't speak for everyone else, but I don't always like auto changing clothes on my Zoe. I would prefer to be able to change them. So if we could toggle auto changing of clothes, if we turn it on and off, that would be nice. I also think that Zoe's kind of disengage from conversation a little bit too quickly. I think there needs to be some type of idle time, and I think they try to mitigate that with the small talk feature, but it just kind of feels like unnatural. Like you'll be interacting with a Zoe, and as soon as that interaction is done, they walk away. So I don't know what could be done about that, but it just feels like, I don't know, sometimes conversation feels a little unnatural because they just run off. Like if you're on a date and you're talking to your date, why wouldn't they stay in the vicinity? Like when I was on the date, my Zoe with Billy, he kept running away every time they finished talking about something, and it was so weird. I also think that if we could be able to store food in the refrigerator. Like there's a lot about food that I would change. I think that if you're ordering food in 2025, we can get food delivered everywhere. So if you're at a property, let's say my Zoe's at work and she wants to get some food delivered. She doesn't want to eat the food at the cafeteria. Maybe instead of the food being delivered to her home, it could be delivered to her place of work. So it could be like a DoorDash or like a Uber Eats or something like that. It kind of was frustrating not being able to get the food sent to the location she was at. I already talked about nightlife. I would love to see some nightlife. But another thing that is plaguing me is the fact that you are completely locked from adjusting your Zoe once you enter the game. I think that sometimes, you might get into the game and you're like, dang, she got a Natalie Nunn chin. I don't like that. Or maybe her forehead is unbalanced, or maybe there's some lumpiness to the face. Or, maybe you want to change your Zoe's gender identity. Maybe you want them to have a coming out story. You can't do that because you're unable to change that after the fact. So I think that locking that off feels way too limiting. And I'm assuming maybe it could have something to do with their genetic system. However, I feel like we should be able to post edit our Zoes. We should be able to post edit their identity, like all of these things. Traits, I understand, like if we can't change their trait, but I want to be able to edit my appearance. I want to be able to edit the names of my Zoe after they get married. So that post edit feature just feels like uh stab in the gut. Like, why can't I do this? Because I love giving my Zoe's makeovers. What if I want to have them go through a plastic surgery era? Like, there are different things that we can do with that. There's different reasons. So I think they should consider that for sure. Another thing that I would change about the game is, hold on, let me take a sip of water. I'm saying that like I'm on camera. Like you guys just see my Zoe self. I'm not on camera. I'm like, hold on. I'm not streaming, but I would like for them to revise the jail system. When my Zoe was in jail, she was locked up for a very long time. I think that her timer, and someone that was in the stream can correct me, but like her timer said like 262 days left of being in prison. And then it went from 262 up to like three something, and the time just kept going up and up and up. Oh, so that was bugged. But outside of the jail bug, I think that there should be more that the Zoids can do while they're in jail. I was under the impression that if I increased her karma, possibly she could get out. But I feel like there should be ways that your Zoids could improve their skills while they're in jail. So maybe there's a class, maybe there are other inmates, maybe there are things that they can do with their time in jail. But I think that if we're going to have these long sentences, I don't know, I just think that there's other things that your Zoid could do besides, sleep and use the vending machine. Another thing that kind of stuck out to me is that the Zoids were still able to use their smartphones while they were locked up. It's actually kind of funny. It's a funny feature, but this might be a hot take and unpopular opinion, but I feel like if my Zoi's in jail, she would not be able to use her phone unless she got one through like some type of contraband. So maybe there is a replacement. Instead of your Zoe having a phone, maybe they switch to like some type of commissary app and they can order things that they need. Like if they want to improve their skill, they can purchase something. Or if your Zoe's in jail and they need to earn money, because your Zoe's do get fined. My Zoe got some heavy fines with her crimes, but maybe if they sweep the floor, they can earn meow. If they take out the trash, they can earn meow. So I think that if you're going to have jail be such an extensive time period, definitely consider making it more interactive so the gameplay is fun. Because I'm not going to lie, like the first 10 minutes, first 15 minutes we were sitting in jail, I was fine with. But after like an hour went by and I couldn't figure out how to get her out, it was not enjoyable. Alexa, 5 more minutes. So those are just a few things that I would change. So those are the few things that I would personally change if I could about inZOI. I really don't have much else. I feel like it's still really early and I had some things earlier on when I was playtesting, but once I saw the roadmap, I had to start retracting my statement because a lot of the things that I would like to see with inZOI are features that they're going to implement. So there's not much to do about that. We just got to wait and see. But what I would like to see with inZOI, again, maternity. I also would like to see the character studio where you can access your character and create an avatar. I think that should be something standalone. Like they should convert the demo to a standalone portion where if we want to be ZTubers, we can have it and we can have our avatar. And if your computer can handle it, you can have this standalone system and run inZOI, it's kind of hard to do that while you're playing the game, but I feel like this should be a standalone software so that if I want to stream and use my Zoe to stream with this in place of myself, if I don't feel like getting a camera, I should be able to do that. So I would like to see this be something standalone. I would like to see optimization for building. There are some aspects of building that feels a bit awkward. However, I'm not a builder, so that could just be my skill issue. But I noticed like the issues with the walls. I had issues with platform making, and I would like to be able to scale things. I couldn't figure out how to scale things either. So I want to see that. Now, I want to talk about like my favorite things about inZOI. I really love the storytelling aspect. I feel like this game is really set up to tell some amazing stories. And I do like the ease of switching between the households. I discovered that if you are in the world and you're playing and there's somebody with a household, there's a little icon that pops up and you just switch, you just switch over to that and you can play that household. I love the weddings. Oh my goodness, the weddings are so beautiful and they feel so lively. And I kind of want more weddings in inZOI. Maybe I could do like a wedding challenge, just get married many times. I do like the karma system, although I will say, I said I wanted to end this on a positive note, but I feel like the game kind of values your Zoids conforming to the status quo. I don't know if I like that. While that's ideal in the real world, I think as far as gameplay goes, it's a bit too limiting. Because, you know, people, we want a life simulation game, but we also want it to be fun and enjoyable. So I think the need to conform to what's going on in society and have that good karma is just, it's fun, but it's still, it feels a little limiting at times. I would like to see a celebrity system because that can implement the ability to have bad karma and be a star. So I have my Zoe Jada and she's trying to become an idol, but she also has to make poor choices. So I'm wondering how that's going to affect her at work. Um, because you kind of have to have decent karma, you know, to make it to the top. So yeah, I do like the karma system. I just, again, I feel like it does need some improvements. I love Character Studio. Character Studio is amazing. I think they did a really great job with that. And if I could see anything in Character Studio, I would like to see individual body part presets. So I'm going to be able to get a preset for noses, presets for mouths, presets for cheeks and things like that. Because I think that sometimes there is a point to where there's like I think the word would be Zoe phase, like where you know there's too many overlapping characteristics when you're creating your character. So I think having those presets on individual face features would definitely help add a bit more variety. But yeah, so that's just how I feel about inZOI. Hopefully this made sense. I don't know. I'm not feeling as confident because I usually go in with a script, but I just wanted to give you guys my fully transparent, honest opinion. I have been having so much fun with inZOI. I've been having a good time with inZOI. Is it a fully fleshed out, like fully ready game? No. But I know it's early access and I know that the team's only going to get better and work on it. So I got to give it a chance and I had a good time. I hope that you guys give it a chance and enjoy it. Let me know what you think. The game comes out today. So when you do get the game, let me know in the comment section your experience. So when you pick up inZOI through Steam, you can also support me as a content creator, but only if you like. And you can use my code mygameplaydiary when you pick up a copy of inZOI. You can use this code by going to the game options menu and then navigating down to gameplay and putting in my gameplay diary when you enter the game. Thank you so much for supporting me. As a special thank you, Crafton is making sure that everyone who enters my creator code will get an exclusive Best Creator Ever t-shirt that your Zoids can wear in the game. And while they wear the shirt, they could experience the feeling of confidence from time to time. I do get a small percentage when you use this code, and every penny goes back into my setup, so I appreciate anybody using it in advance. Also, if you would like to support me and join the channel as a member, you can. And the join button will be where the subscription button is if you're on mobile. I have it in the description box if you want to get the link to it. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all later.